Hi everybody, today's video I'm going to be talking about a piece of software that has massively changed the way I work. It's Avoto AI. So if you're anything like me and you hear AI, especially within our sort of photography field, the creative arts, a part of me is definitely a bit, do I want to go near it? And most of the time the answer is pretty much no. I like things to be as organic and natural as possible. However, like it or not, there's some technology out there that it would be silly to ignore. Now, I have been looking to outsource my editing for as long as I can remember. Basically for the last 19 years, I've edited every single picture myself. And when it's come to outsourcing, either I've been worried about where I'm sending it, you're sending off pictures of, people's children or whatever, and where's it going? Where's it ending up? And, the other thing, the biggest thing for me, the biggest turn off was the fact that it always came back looking fake and overdone. I really didn't like that way of editing. For me, I like my portraits to try to be as realistic as possible, but just as if like a good makeup artist has come in and just done all the work for you, if you know what I mean. So I got to a point recently, perhaps it was on my radar a bit more because I had so much work build up and I just don't have the time now with the kids that I did before. And I had this email came in from Avoto AI, and initially I was like, no, thank you, because I thought I'm not going to go near anything automated. But I saw an example in their email and I thought, if that sample is real and that is true, that is incredible because it was so realistic. So I went for it. I downloaded the software and I had a play with it. And I tell you what, my mind was blown. Honestly, guys, I can't tell you how much this has changed my workflow. It has changed absolutely everything about the way that I work. So today I thought the best thing to do would be to basically show you around how I use it and also just see if it might fit in with your workflow, because it really does speed things up. And the best thing of all is it looks genuine, it looks real, it looks really convincing, and to the point almost where I think it does a better job than me, which is great. So let's have a look at the interface and I'll show you around and how it all works. So here in your home area is where you'll be importing the images. However, I've already done mine and the samples that I'm going to show you today. The reason being is because I'm using this every single day, all my clients are in the galleries within the homepage, and of course I don't want to put their identity out on the internet. So I've already preloaded these in. Now I've got a bit of a mixture in here for different reasons to show you different things, but let's talk about a couple of things to start off with. So over here, you've got your presets. So there's various presets that you can go down. I'm going to show you these a little bit later, but there's loads of different presets that are already done for you that pretty much if you can, with one click and you like the way it's set up, you can be done. Now, of course, you've got this other area here, which is my presets, where you can upload all your custom sort of menus and designs if you like. If your own presets, you can pop them in there. If you find that it's a particular way of working that you like and particular things that you keep doing, you can upload them in there. Now over this side at the top here where you've got the color adjustments, all of that, this is exactly the same interface that you're used to seeing with your Camera Raw or Lightroom or all of that. So you've got exposure, contrast, all the usual things, your color grading, all of that is down here. So I'm actually not going to make any adjustments to my raw file here. I'm just going to leave it as is, I think, because I think it's okay. I think I might have shot it all right there. Now, where it gets interesting is down here with these things, but let's go down to the portrait retouching. So the first thing to note, of course, is that you've got here all the, it's identified the fact that Aisha's a female. But of course, if you click all, if you're photographing a group and you click all, then it's going to make the same adjustments to everybody in that group. Now, recently I did a shoot with 3 generations and I had the grandparents, the parents and the children. And the best thing about it is I could go on to elderly, and that would mean that it just targeted the grandparents, all to the females, or children, they don't need anything doing. But what I did do is for the females in the group, there might have been slightly different edits to the men, but I could just go in there and break it down, or you can select by individual. So it will find a face and you can basically, we've only got one here because of course it's a single portrait, but you can identify each individual person and make different adjustments should you need to. But of course, let's go back to what it already identified, which is the female. Now, what would we typically do to this image? Let's take a quick look. So Things we've got here are the freckle and acne section. Now, this is crazy. I've got another picture in there which I'll show you where it comes to freckles, but let's take this up. Now, basically what this is going to do, I'm going to max it out to start off with, guys, just to show you the difference. So what we're going to do here, let me zoom in so you can see the real effects here. Right, if we look at Aisha's face here, press space bar to see how it was before, and then after. So all this little area, these little areas around here and around there, what you would typically be doing with a spot healing brush, bam, just with one click, it's tidied it all up for us, which is fantastic. Now, the other thing you've got here is, you've got sliders where, if you've got freckles, etc., we can bring those back in. I'll show you on another image later. But one thing that I love too is you can either, it's identified here, we've got a face mole. So under here with Aisha's little mole here, you can either click that to have that included or not. Now, for me personally, I like to keep freckles, I like to keep moles, I like to keep scars even, unless I've been told or asked to remove it by the client. For me, it's part of what makes up somebody's character, but some people don't want them. So there you go. You can decide whether you want that in or not. So let's have a quick look around here as well. A couple of things that you will note is that we've got some face shine, especially on the nose. I've lit this particular shot with butterfly positions, so typically without having a professional makeup artist putting lots of powder on, etc., you're gonna get a little bit of the reflection of the flash in the skin here. So just by moving this slider up, we can reduce the face shine to just take it down, especially that highlight on the nose. That's the one that's bothering me. So let's do it again. Let's go before, after, before, after. It just takes it down and evens it out just a little bit. So moving down to some of these sliders down here, we've got eye wrinkles that typically targets around the side. I don't think Aisha needs that. Underneath, we've got some dark circles though, that might be helpful for us. So let's just take this slider up. I'm going to max it out again, just so you can see the difference. And basically all that's doing is lifting it up. Yeah, it's not too much. It's just as if, there we go, before, after. It's just lifting it as if Aisha had concealer on. Same thing here with the eye bags. If we want to just lift that a little bit more, underneath the eye area, it's just if you had a good concealer on. What I like about this is that it doesn't look fake. It's still, it's just brightening it up, but all the lines are still there. It's not sort of smoothing it all out. Everything is still there. So we go again, before and after, lightening it up here. So nice and easy, nice and simple, but I hope that you agree with me up until now is that it's still looking pretty convincing. It's still looking good. Now, of course, you can control these as much as you like. That is the best thing about this, is that you have ultimate control. So let's move down a little bit more now. What else do we have? Now, this is one thing that bugs me, but I don't know whether it's just me because it annoys me on pictures of me, but these necklines here, these neck wrinkles, and this is a brilliant adjustment. So if we bring that up here, there we go. That just takes away those little lines in the neck. And you can see, if I jump out of here, you can see obviously with this particular shot, I have got Aisha to turn her head, so they do become a little bit more noticeable. So again, let's go back in and see the difference here. So 50%, we're going close, before, after, before, after. So really, so far, all we're doing are all the sort of things that you would be doing with dodging and burning, frequency separation, things like that. We're just doing it with a slider and it makes it so much quicker. Now, I think we're done in that department. So what we can do is just shut that one down. What else do we want to do to this image? Well, for me, I think maybe I would just tidy up the eyes just a little bit. So let's go into the eyes section. Okay, now what we can do here is just up the brightness a little bit. I don't want to go too far because I really have a bugbear about over-processed eyes. I want them to look very natural. So we've just brightened that up a little bit. And then down the bottom here, you can just flare the iris a touch just to bring out the colour just a little bit there. Now, another thing that is really amazing when it comes to this software is this slider called removing the red veins. Now, I get a lot of red veins in my eyes, probably on bloodshot eyes, probably being up all night with the kids, but just watch this. So let's take this one up. Let's move that up to here, right? Just watch it go. Okay, look at that. I'm going to zoom in even more actually so you can see. So let's go to 100% and move that over the eye area. So again, let's go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those. Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to move the slider just for the veins to see that. So that's without it. And that's with it. Look at that, gone, just cleaned up and gone straight away. It's amazing. It just is such a lifesaver. If you were to go in and do those individually, that would take you such a long time. Now let's pop that back in there. Now for me, even now that we've taken away some of those red veins, we can even reduce the brightness a touch, because I don't want it to look over processed, as I say. So now that that's looking more white around that sort of area, we can reduce that brightness down, I feel, because we aren't distracted by those little veins there. So next, I feel like we're good here, but perhaps the other thing that might be a little bit distracting here are these flyaway hairs. So we've got these stray hairs, not only around the outside there, you know, if you go in a little bit, look, we've got a few around the neck, etc. It's going to happen, you know, when you've got long hair, it goes everywhere. So let's go into the hair section. Look at this, right? Ready for this, guys? Remove stray hairs. Ready? I'm going to crank it up. Bang, gone, finished, goodbye. What? It's crazy. Like, if you don't want it to look so solid, you can sort of bring it down a bit and reduce the amount if you wanted to. You can sort of keep a bit more texture there if you want to. And again, you can refine this as much as you want down here. But not only has it done the outside, let's go in again and have a look down here. Remember all those ones down there? Look, before, after, before, after. Now, if we were doing that manually, that would take so much time. And then the other thing you've got as well is making it look natural and blending in and not moving too many pixels around. And I've got to be honest, I really don't like removing stray hairs. It's one of my pet hates. It's just one of those things that I really don't like doing it. So that is just a slider and a click and it is done. Now, I think we're pretty much there. The only other thing that we could potentially look at here is we've got a little mark on the chest there. It doesn't bother me too much, but let's say it was bothering Aisha. What we could do is come back into our blemish removal and go into body blemish. Let's bring that up just a little bit there. And we can just fade it down a little bit. We haven't got to remove it completely if we don't want to. Of course you could, but by fading it down, it becomes less obvious, it's less distracting, and we are looking more at Aisha. So now that I've done all that retouching, sometimes what I'm tempted to do is just have another look. If I'm going back into here, I might just bring up my exposure just the tiniest little bit, just to brighten it up a bit. There we go. Maybe I went too far, let's see. But the tiniest little bit, sometimes, you know when you get to the point where you're like, just leave it. I think that might be one of these. So there we have it, guys. What we went from, let's have a look. This is how we were before. Perfectly fine image, nothing wrong. We're just going in and sort of tidying it up and giving it a polish, and then there we go. I hope that when you would see those images, when you would see this image by itself, that you wouldn't feel like this was overly retouched or overly done. Of course, when you compare it to the original, you can see the massive changes that we've made, but on its own, it just looks nice and polished and nicely done. So here is the beauty of this too. Not only is it amazing for speeding up, doing individual pictures, but you'll see on the screen here, I've got another shot from the same session, the same sequence, etc., where it was a few frames apart, another picture. Now, I could go ahead and do all that again. I could save this as a preset, but you've got something better than this. This is what really blows my mind and takes the speed up to another level, right? So if I'm on my selected image, and then I highlight the image next to it and select that and say, right, whatever you've done to that, please can you do to that? You just click the sync button. Here it goes. And then it gives you up a menu. What do you want to adjust? Do you want to do everything that you've made, all the adjustments that you've made to this image, or just certain things? Well, for me, yeah, everything's good. So I'm going to hit save. And you'll see the little wheel going at the bottom here, and then wait for it to come in. Bam, done. Exactly the same edit that you've done here appears here in, what was that? I don't know, 2 seconds? It's incredible. So I can't explain how much this would speed up your workflow. Let's take another example, still sticking with Aisha here. Let's move over to our white background headshot. Now, these are taken from my Learn with Hannah series. Some of you will recognize the people and the images that are in here. But this is where I have given you an example of how to set up a white background using a softbox as your backdrop. Now, we've set up the key lights in the front here, but what we haven't done is kicked off with the backdrop and the softbox in the back just yet. So what happens sometimes when you're shooting, occasionally when you're shooting and the background doesn't fire, you might get a cracking shot, but then your background didn't go. Well, my friends, no problem here. All you need to do is go over to this tool over here, your background adjustments, right? Here we have all the different options. Now you can select any of these. You go into more. You've got pretty much every color under the sun. Is there any real need to bother buying background paper anymore? I don't know. But let's come all the way out, because what I'm trying to do is make this into a white background, just because that's what I was looking to do in the first place. But of course we didn't have the backlight on. Wait for it. Okay, let's click white. Bam. It's done. And now, however, how else this works for me is sometimes when I'm shooting in volume, you'll see the edges of the softbox around here. So perhaps I might be caught out, not have a softbox big enough, or even so, someone moves left or right if you're doing volume and you've got the edges of the softbox in. Well, you can do exactly the same thing. So let's go into this image that we just did. Now we've already clicked this white on the background adjustment, that's fine. Go into our portrait tools again, a little bit of that. What did we do before? Now let's come down. We said that we were going to do a little bit of dark circles, a little bit of eye bags. I'm doing this really quickly. Neck wrinkles we did before as well, didn't we? That was cool. So there's another thing here is a double chin. I mean, Aisha doesn't have a double chin, but if you find that you've got too much, especially if you're doing like a clamshell setup and it's a bit bright underneath, you want to darken it down. Look at that. Did you see that go? In, out. Actually, do you know what? Let me just show you that real quick in closer detail. Let's go in. Under the chin here, I'm just going to show you not all the adjustments, but just the chin, right? So you see that's a bit brighter underneath by hitting the double chin button. It just darkens it down, smooths it out. It's crazy, guys. It's mad what you can do. Jump back to our fit. Okay, so it fits in, all looking pretty good. We said that what we were going to do in here, we were just going to brighten the eyes a tiny bit, weren't we? We went like that, and then we went for the red veins quite high. Yeah, I mean, I could have taken this edit over here, but let's just, do what we're doing for here. Pretty much it's looking good. Oh, and the most of all was the hair, wasn't it? Not that we've really got that issue too much here because we're shooting on the white, but, sometimes we've got a little few on the forehead here. So, right, thanks very much. Now, how many images have we got here? 1, 2, 3. There's another 3 from this session where I need that background sorted out and I need it filled in and the same edit done. What do? Click on this one, the one that we've been making the adjustments to. Select the others. Go ahead over to your sync button, press the button and literally watch it come in and the magic happen. 1. Here comes the next one. 2. There's the next one. Here it comes. 3. It's crazy. So you could be shooting on any background. You could have those softbox edges in there. It's just going to keep making the same adjustments. So you can sync it all, which is incredible. Now there's one more thing that is really going to blow your mind here, and that is when it comes to shooting with people with glasses. Now, I, of all people, are going to say to you, please get it right in camera because it's so important. I don't believe, and I certainly feel like Avoto don't believe either, that this is a tool where you just fix it in post. I don't believe that. I still think the more you can get right in camera, the better. Now, I took some images here, which I'll bring up here of Tom. So I've got some images here of Tom where I was showing you in the Learn with Hannah series about how to photograph people with glasses. I had to dig deep to find some examples where I had a reflection in there because of course I shoot with it without the reflection. That's the whole point. Let's do a tutorial on that. However, for the time being, here are some examples where sometimes as well, what can happen is if your model moves or, your subject moves, etc., you can get a little bit of that reflection coming in. Now, I can't stress this enough. As I said, let's make sure this doesn't happen in the first place. However, if you get caught off guard or something like this happens, watch how this will get you out of jail. So what we're going to do, I'm going to brighten this image up a little bit because I feel like it's a tiny bit dark. So let's just go into Tom here and then lighten that up a little bit. Right. So back to our portrait retouching. What are we going to do now? We want to go into the eyes section. And before we do anything else to the eyes, that reflection has got to go. So we go down to the glasses glare. You ready for this, guys? Let's crank it up. 1, 2, 3. Watch that disappear. What? what? And it looks real. It looks real. It looks real. Like, it completely does. Like, I get it right in the first place. However, look at it. It's crazy. So the same thing applies here. Now, if you could, obviously now we've changed to a different subject. It's identified that Tom is a male. So let's just go through from the top again. Let's go in. You got your freckles and acne. Now let's just go in a little bit closer to the top here. So let's go in 50%. We've got a little area over here where we might want to just sort of even it out a little bit. So let's take that up on the freckles and acne. Maybe bring it down just a little bit. Now I like this other feature is here, a feature here as well, where it has, let me go down just a little bit. You've got beard protection. I'm going to click that. Did you see that go in and out? Right, especially around here. So, oops, I've lost myself. Where are we there? There. So when it's making smooth adjustments, you can hit that beard protection and it just keeps that, it just keeps it sharp and, you know, not going too soft, which is what you would expect, which is great. It just keeps it looking realistic. Now, Tom, what can we do here? A little bit of the eye bags, just lighten it up underneath his eyes. And the same thing here with some dark circles. Let's just lift that up just a little tiny bit. But, you know, to be honest with guys, I don't do an awful lot of retouching. Yeah, there's not an awful lot that needs to be done on here, you know, in my opinion. Yeah, you could go crazy with it. It's up to you. It's all individual, of course. But for my taste, there's not too much I want to do. Maybe let's brighten his eyes up just a little tiny bit. Right. Okay. Now, let's go back to our, oops, let me come up here. And just, I like to, once I've dealt with one section, I like to shut it down just so I don't get too lost and, yeah, I can try and keep track of myself. So what we can do here then is go out and look, we've got another 2 images here where we've got reflections in the glasses. So the same thing applies. You just click on your image that you've retouched. You know, when I look at that now, I might just want to bring that down just a little bit, actually. I think I overdid it a touch. There we go. So shut that down. Here is your image that you've edited and that you've worked on. Let's select the other 2. I'm just holding shift and clicking on the furthest one away. That will put your initial, so it's basically saying where this yellow box is saying, here you go, this is the one you worked on. These are the other ones that are selected. Go ahead over here, click that sync button and watch it work. It's magic. 1, 2. I don't have words, guys. I mean, it is so clever and so brilliant. And yet again, if you only saw these images for the first time and you didn't see the originals, like, look at the difference. Before, after, before, after. To jump back and forth between these guys and just holding down the space bar just to show you the differences. But look at that. It's mind blowing. It really is. So that is how the sync button works, and that is how you can apply that to multiple images. Of course, I could save that as a preset up in my presets up here too, but that's another way of doing it. I love to do that. I love to work on one image and then pick a bunch from the same set, click on the sync button and just watch it work its magic. Now moving over, let's talk about those presets. Let's go over here. Now let's go over to this image here of our lovely Bing Bing. Now, another thing to note here is that you can see that you've got Avoto watermark written over here. Now, why is that? Well, the reason that is there is to stop people basically downloading the software and, you know, screenshotting what their edit is. When you export it, of course, it's not there, but that's just there, and yeah, it's a little bit more low res, etc., just to stop people, you know, nicking it, to be honest. So, looking at this image here, there's a couple of other features that I wanted to show you. But first off, let's look at these presets. Now there's many different presets on here. You've got natural, high-end, glowing, wedding, baby, child, maternity. You can read, you can see lifestyle, portrait. You know, it goes on and on. I swear as well, every time I, you know, update this thing, there's more in there. But let's just go for a natural look. So let's just click this in one click and see what it does to Bing Bing's skin. There we go. I mean, that was great. Let me go in again and just show you the difference. So we're going to go in a little bit closer into her face. Let's go 50%. No, probably a little bit more actually for this image. Okay. See, that all still looks really natural to me, but there we go. Hold down the space bar. Bam. So with one preset, that first natural preset that I found up here, it was one click and that is great. That's done. I'm happy with that. What else can we do here? Again, we've got a few flyaway hairs. I'm not going to go too mad with this because we're outside. Okay, so you would expect there to be a little bit. So again, trying to keep the real aspect of it, just tightening, smoothing that out just a little bit. So the thing that I wanted to show you in particular about this image was the fact that you can de-wrinkle some clothing. Now, of course, it's always a good idea to keep a steamer in your studio, but what happens when you're outside? Now, Bing Bing's clothes, certainly, you know, there's nothing wrong with them at all, but when you ask a client to fold their arms like that, inevitably there's going to be more creases in the clothing. So if you just watch over here, do you know what I might do? Before I do that, let me just lift the shadows just a tiny bit out here, just so you can, it's a bit more obvious to see. To forget about the overall composition balance right now, I just want you to see this. So looking at the clothing over here, let's go to the de-wrinkle clothing, crank it up 100%. Look at that. Look at that, guys. It's nuts. So let's go before, after, or better yet, because I made the other adjustment, and it's not doing, look, de-wrinkle clothing, that's how it was, and then it smooths it out. It's just one of those little things that, again, helps to iron things out and makes it a bit more smooth and just looking really natural. So for me, I could, you know, without going into the ins and outs of if I wanted to balance this image any better, right now I've clicked on one natural preset, wrinkled out the clothes a little and made a slight adjustment to the hair. I could say that image was done. How fast did we edit that? It's so quick. Now, to finish off with, I'm going to edit a picture of this mugshot. So what I did the other week is I jumped in at the end of a session. So you can see how messy this is, you know, everything in the background, you know, it's not even straight. So basically I just jumped in after a client. I didn't adjust anything for me. I just sat there. I was a bit sweaty. I've been shooting. I hadn't done like makeup properly. Everything was a mess. Not the sort of thing that I would usually do. And now I'm going to put up an image where I look a mess all across the internet. Fantastic. But really, to be honest with this, I wanted to show you something where, I don't know, I really want to show you the freckles aspect of this, but I feel like if we're making adjustments, and especially if we're making it too extreme, I'd rather do it on a version of myself, so that, and we're not saying what needs correcting, etc. We're just playing around and we can have a laugh at my expense. So what do we notice about this first off? So I feel like, firstly, well, let's just, I think the elephant in the room, can we just, we need to pay attention to the fact that the dust spots on here are pretty outrageous. I'm not really surprised the things I've been shooting lately, but let's just see if we can clean that up. So in your background adjustment tools, this one here, you just go to the clean solid backdrop and watch them disappear. So off they went. Before, after, before, after. Now, to be fair, this is very close to me, this one, and it's very large. So what do we do about that? Well, you've got all the other tools that you would normally have. So jumping across at the top here, there's your healing tool. So what we can do is you've got your healing brush patch tool and your clone stamp. So what I'm going to do is use the spot healing brush, and I'm just going to pull that there, like that, nice and simple. So there it goes. That's cleaned that up straight away. So we just hit OK, otherwise it won't save it. There we go. And then we've gone from a very messy backdrop, cleaning it up straight away. Nice and simple there. So next I need to crop it a little bit because it's a bit of a mess, of course, because it's not framed correctly, especially in that top corner too. I could clone that out. How much space do I want above my head? I could probably get away with that. Okay, let's just hit OK to that. Now that's less distracting with all that other stuff in the background. Now, again, for me especially, I've just come back from holiday, so I am very, very freckly right now. So let's jump in and have a look at what we could do about that. Now, before I do the freckles, you know, what I'm going to do is address the face shine, because I've definitely got some of that going on and it might make it a bit more noticeable. There we go. I'd rather do that first because then I know what I'm dealing with. Let's zoom in. Let's go into 50%. No, let's go 100%. Ugh. Sorry, internet. Wow, you're seeing 41-year-old me with, I haven't got makeup on, a little bit on my eyes, I think, and that's about it. Wow, blimey. We've come a long way. Okay, so freckle and acne. Let's move that slider up. I'm going to max this out, guys. Of course, I'm not going to do it to this level, but just have a look here. Whoa, it's gone. Now, as I said before, I'm definitely one for keeping in freckles and, you know, just keeping some of that there. It's part of my personality. It's part of my face. I'm going to keep it in there. But look, if I didn't like them, what I could do is just look at that before, after, before, after. It's just gone in and got those freckles and taken them away. Now, if I didn't want to do that, of course, or I want some control, I can reduce the freckle slider. It just still has the acne in there. So if I've got any little blemishes and bits and pieces, I can control how much of my freckles I want in there or not, which is lovely. It's really nice. And again, the overall balance, you can pull back a little bit as much as you like. So for me, let's hit it somewhere around there to keep showing you what's happening. So for me as well, you know what, I think I had a little bit more face shine there as well. So I was shiny that day. As I say, I had been running around sweating, photographing another client and didn't have any, I didn't do this for looking good, guys. I did it for it to be real. So for me, again, down here, I've got these really bizarre little things on my skin here. So it's like the little raised bumps. I thought it was heat rash. It's not. I don't know what it is, but they tend to go a slightly darker colour. So I find them a little bit distracting. So what we can do, I don't really care, but what you can do, if you hit the body blemish, look at that. I can just remove them and take them away. That's how it was. And that's how it is now. So it just takes those away. I haven't got too many stray hairs going on, but there's a few here, and that definitely looks like a grey, doesn't it? Right, so let's get rid of that. Let's come out for a sec and go down to the hair section, and let's just take up our remove stray hairs again. Lovely, there we go, sorted. Perfect. And we've got, what else could we look at here? My eyes, let's have a look in here, because for sure, let's go in so you can see a bit closer. There's going to be some bloodshot eyes going on in there. It's not too bad actually, but let's just take the brightness up a little bit. Maybe we'll flare the iris the tiniest little bit as well, just to bring it all to life in equal balance. And then we've got the removing the red veins. Let's take that up a little bit too. Take it up a lot, to be fair. Now, I have very uneven, and like I say, the makeup didn't happen here. So this is quite incredible. There's a section called makeup. Now, what you can do here, of course, is maybe what you might have done as well. There's another thing that you can do with the skin retouching is that you can use your sort of dodge and burn. If you really wanted to sort of smooth things out, you can use the dodge and burn here as well and bring that up or down as much as you want. But I find sometimes when you do that, perhaps it might become a bit the texture might disappear. So what we can do here is you've got the choice of adding like a matte in, so that can bring the sort of texture back in again. You've got satin, you've got dewy. I mean, that's not what I'm going for. But again, you can control how much of that you want to bring in or not. But the reason I was showing you that is that sometimes when you do the dodge and burn in, I find that you could lose a little bit in the face. So coming back to the makeup, you can always add in a little bit more contour and bring that back in again where you've lost it. Not a huge amount. But the reason I was coming in here was to show you like eyebrow makeup. I definitely didn't do my eyebrows, that's for sure. So let's just make those a little bit darker. I'd usually pencil them in a bit, even though they're totally not the same colour as anything else on my body. Eye makeup, again, you can crank that up a little bit if you wanted to. And you can even, this is nuts, right? Look, you can even apply presets, various looks, etc. But you could go into eyeshadow, eyebrows. Like I could even add myself some different eyebrows, some different shaped eyebrows if I wanted to. I could, what? I haven't even seen this before. Look at this, contacts. Should we see what Hannah looks like with brown eyes? Whoa. Okay. Okay, now I look like a White Walker. Let's not do that. But like I don't have words. It's crazy what you can do. I'm playing around now just to show you what you can do. And as I said, having a bit of fun on an image of me because I can mess around with that because it's of myself. Now going down to teeth, here's another thing that is quite incredible. Teeth whitening, well, I don't think my teeth are too bad. I don't want to look all Simon Cowell, so let's crank it up to show you, but it's just show you what you can do. But this thing is absolutely mad, right? Say if you've got someone that absolutely hates their teeth, look at this. This is like having instant veneers. Watch this, ready? But look, it just changes the shape of them and makes them all equal and even and all of that. Like, it's crazy. That little button called Pretty Teeth. Crazy. I'm going to leave that off because I want it to look, I'll take my warts and all, But if you've got somebody that really doesn't like that, shows you what you can do. So for me right now, I might have taken it a little bit too far for what I would like for myself. So let's just take this down a bit. Let's bring some of the realness back in again. It's a bit of fun. But yeah, it's let's look at the original. All shiny, and then evened out and flattened out just a little bit there. I haven't done too much, you know, like it's not too much, but just tidying up. But the background in particular, there's other things up here. You've still got your Liquify and various things. So if I wanted to sort of like push my shoulders down a little bit, if I was hunching, or push that in just a little tiny bit because there's a bit of a bump there, yeah, you can just go ahead and do that like you would have done in Photoshop or anything else. So we'll say okay to that. Thank you. Right, so that is pretty much it, guys. That is pretty much an overview of how you can go from removing reflections in glasses, syncing everything so that your backgrounds go whatever color you want, but I've chosen white here. We've gone in and we retouched this image to start off with, and then we went in and synced this one. You've got my freckles that, yeah, we took away here, and then we've got Bing Bing here, which we did a preset on, and we ironed out her jacket and everything here. So that is basically how it works. You could spend all day playing with these various sliders. And as I say, I think the thing to remember here is not to overdo it. Just because you can do this stuff, you don't want to kind of, you know, really overdo it and make everything look fake. But this is the best thing about Avoto, is that you have full control. You can see even those presets there, various things, you can go in and adjust them manually and completely tweak it to have full control and get it exactly how you want it, to have it looking as realistic as possible. So let's come down to, well, how does this work, you know, from a cost point of view? Is it cost effective? Is it worth it? Well, from my point of view, 100% yes. So how it works is you basically buy credits, and each time you export a photo, if you're exporting a photo, let's say for instance my photo, my headshot, I can export that one that we just did now and show you it like it is exactly like that now. If a little later on I decided, oh, you know what, I think maybe I overdid my skin there, I want my freckles back a little bit, I can go back in again and make that adjustment and export the same file again at no cost. So it's basically, it's per image. So each different image that you export is going to cost you 1 credit. If you export the same image 10 times, no charge. It's charging you just once for that, you know, just the once for that one image, and no matter how many times you go back in, it's not going to keep charging you for every export. I hope that makes sense. So one thing to say to you, of course, is, am I working in partnership with Avoto for this? Well, the answer is yes, I am. And it's something that I wanted to do because I can't tell you how much this has changed my workflow. The other day I had 90 headshots with white backgrounds, all different people. I had 90 headshots to retouch. What I did is I went in and put the men in one folder, the women in another folder, changed the adjustments that I wanted to make, because I do edit slightly differently for men and women. And I basically hit the sync button and watched it just play out. From there, I went in personally, because I like to just have absolute control. I went into each individual file, just scrolled along at the bottom just to make sure it was the perfect setup for that person. And if it wasn't, with the automated things that I did, I adjusted it slightly. But you could, depends how much you care. Remember, I am really, really fussy. So I went in and did that. But even with doing it one by one, after doing the blanket adjustments with the sync, it took me 30 minutes. 90 headshots edited in 30 minutes. Is it's out of this world. If you weren't so fussy and you weren't so bothered, you could just click the button and walk away and it's done. I mean, why is that helpful? Why do we need the assistance of AI? Why is, you know, what's the point in doing this? Well, don't get me wrong, I totally miss those days where you could sit in, and it was a bit therapeutic, where you could sit there and basically with your coffee and, you know, start editing, etc., and just enjoy your time doing it. But these days I've basically got one child on my leg. I can hear someone banging downstairs. That's probably my son banging on the door. This is life, right? And basically time is money. So what I'm not doing is I'm not sitting at the computer where, you know, panicking about how much I've got to edit. I can get out there and do another shoot. I can, you know, I can just back to back shoot now, knowing that I'm not going to be sitting there for days editing. If I had tried to retouch 90 images, that would probably taken me a day, if not 2. It's a lot of time, guys. So this has massively helped me. Now, would I work with anybody and just take the money? Well, no. Is it something where you get benefits from? Well, yeah, mutually, they're going to help me credit my account, etc. Because, you know, I'm doing this for them. But I hope you trust me enough to know that I wouldn't be doing that unless I thought this was something brilliant and helpful for you guys. You know, I make my money from taking pictures and not from all these other things. And trust me, we get emails to do collaborations all the time. And I say no to pretty much 99% of them, because unless I like the product, unless I believe in it, unless I feel like it's something that's useful, you know, I'm not going to do it. But full disclaimer there, so I'm working with Avoto, but I feel like, you know, I basically downloaded the software and tried it out myself first, and then I was like, wow, I bought some credits and I started using it, and then we spoke, and so it worked out organically from there. Now, I'm going to put a link on the screen now. This link will basically get you 30 free credits so that you can basically download these, download the software, and you can edit away, try it out, all different types of images, put them all in there and see how it works out for you. But you need to put in the direct link here. This isn't a coupon code, so don't try and put it in a coupon box. This is a direct link that you need to use, and that will get you 30 free credits to give it a go. See what you think of it. It might not be for you, but you might be one of the people like me, which it completely changes your workflow. So I hope you found that honest. I hope you found that insightful, and I really hope more than anything that you can find a way to fit this software into your editing workflow. Another thing as well is from the safety point of view. Somebody asked me about the safety point of view. All images remain on your device, and you can go and look at all the terms and conditions. They have sent it through to me. I'm not going to read it out now, but you can look and see how it works from a security point of view. I liked that very much. I like the fact that I wasn't sending this off anywhere. It's staying as it is on my machine, which is great. So I hope that's been helpful, guys. If you've got any comments or you've got any questions, of course, leave them in the comments box below. But I really hope that is helpful and insightful for you. And most of all, I really hope you can implement this into your workflow, get going and get out there and shooting more and making some more money, and it smooths the whole process for you. But yeah, any questions, let me know. And I hope that's been helpful. Don't forget to use that link, and I'll see you next time.